Welcome back, and thanks for hanging out for another episode. Now we get to hear the story of the science teacher picking Rick up for a ride to school. Then the guys review some photos and look back at surviving and enjoying their youth in Texas.
Miss Sanders was my science teacher, and she was really nice, really smart, but all the guys liked her because she had big boobs. So, anyway.
Of course.
I was walking to school one day. For some reason, I was walking by myself. I can't remember if something was wrong with my bike or whatever. But anyway, I was walking by myself. I got down sort of close to that daycare, the Kitty College. I wasn't quite there yet, where you make a right and go down Grau. I wasn't quite there yet. But I'm just walking along, and I hear this car coming down, and a car stops next to me. I'm not really paying attention at that point. I'm just walking. I don't know what they're doing, and then the window rolls down, and it's her, and she says, "Hey, I'm heading up to the school. You want to? I'll give you a ride. Let's just go together." So I did, but she was playing More Than a Feeling by Boston in the car when I got in. Okay, for some reason, when you're young, you don't think that other older people listen to your music.
Yeah, because you probably thought she was so much older than you.
Right.
She's probably only 5 years older than you, but you probably thought of her as
Right.
being 30 years older than you.
Right. But it just didn't occur to me that someone older than me would actually like the same music.
Yeah.
I don't know why that thought was in my head, but for some reason, when you're younger, you have this different perception of things that don't make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's playing it, and it's on a really decent stereo in this car too. It sounds really good. So I'm thinking, wow, this is really cool. But I knew all the guys in the class and all the guys at school were talking about her and liked her and thought she was cool and all this stuff. So sure enough, we get all the way to school. That song is playing. We get to now I get to go in where it's the parking lot. I get to go into the part of school that I don't usually get into because I'm usually walking or on the bike.
Right.
So we get out or whatever, and there's all these other guys there or whatever, and we get out, and they all look at me like, "Dude, how'd you do that?"
Yeah, they probably wanted your autograph.
And I'm thinking, I just kind of got out of the car like, yeah, no big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, we're old friends.
Yeah. Anyway, so of course I kind of played it up or whatever.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, anytime that song comes on, that's what I remember.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I will always remember that. The other thing, and this is weird, there was one time we were doing some work around the house. Do you remember that house on Rose Street when you first went in the main driveway? Right to the right is that we had a little small yard area that had a few trees in it.
The mimosa trees.
Yeah, and then
Mimosa trees.
there
in
were
there.
those bushes that were really high,
I remember those
right-
too. Yep.
right, that blocked the view of the house.
They were like a natural divider on that front porch.
Right. Well,
Sure.
me and Jeff, I don't remember. David may have been there with us, but we were all kind of running back and forth. We were using the electric hedge trimmers, and we were working on those. But we had a little portable radio. It was that one that you could actually push the microphone down.
Yeah, I
and
remember
then
that.
record whatever music was on there, or you could push it to where it would pop up, and you could actually record the goings on.
Just as a
whatever.
side note, that's the same thing we used. We recorded commercials with Frank
Right,
in
yeah.
Will's Point, where he was
Yeah.
laughing himself into a coma. We did those commercials about the Ford and the poopy scoopy toilet paper, all that. That's what we were using to record those commercials with Frank. Yeah, his contribution was nothing but laughing the whole time. Remember that? That was his contribution to the commercials.
Does anybody have those tapes?
I don't know. I mean, just imagine how
Yeah,
much that'd be worth on the collector's market.
Man, I wish we did. But anyway, we were playing some music, and I had recorded a bunch of stuff that was playing on the radio on a few days before, and that was the first time I had heard all the way through, at least, "Strawberry Fields" by the
Right.
Beatles.
Mhm.
And so we were actually playing that tape that had that song on it while we were doing the bushes and trimming the hedges and all that. So for some reason that time, that summer day when we were out in the front working on all of that, trimming the hedges, when that song comes on, that's what I think of. I don't know why that's connected or so strongly, but yeah, that's just. I mean, it was a real nice, warm summer day, and that there's just a connection there now. So
Remember what it was like living in Dallas area there during the summers and when it was so freaking hot.
Well, yeah.
We didn't have air conditioning, but we'd have those box fans. I
Yep.
remember just keeping my head like as close as possible to the air because that was the
It
only
was brutal. It was brutal,
horrible.
man.
yeah, and then we'd go and hop on the roofs in the summer
Yeah, go
'Cause it
do
was-
roof. Yeah.
because it wasn't hot enough already. We had to jump
Right,
up
exactly.
on the roof.
And remember, it'd be so hot when we're trying to cut the edges
It'd be like cutting licorice. Yeah.
Yeah.
or like trying to slice a pie and you just anyway looked like a dead beaver chewed it off. So we'd have to spray it with cold water or something to try to get
Yeah.
it to cool
Yeah.
off enough where you could cut a straight line.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to cool it off with water and then cut it. Yeah, that was sad.
David brought up a good point. Those pictures I sent you guys,
Mhm.
I wanted to kind of go through some of those and see if you guys had any specific memories from that.
Oh, sure.
I don't think I have any on my phone. I think I basically have them on my computer. But
That one with
Yeah.
ponchos, I'm like, what the hell's going on with us three there in front of ponchos? Normally
Well,
we're excited.
We've been working all day. You don't
Yeah,
remember that?
yeah, David has a recollection about that we talked
We were
about.
working all day. We were doing brickwork or something with Dad all day. We were not in the mood.
Yeah, but
We were
God, it looks
exhausted.
like what am I 10 years old there? Jeez.
Yeah, I think I was probably maybe 14, 13 or 14, maybe 12, 13. I don't know. Well, I had my glasses on. Let me, I can probably tell you.
Talk about child labor.
I think Jeff was probably 11 or 12. I was probably 14 and Rick was probably 15. Of course, it was child labor, but they were violating all kinds of labor laws. Or Dad was for free labor.
Hey, do you still remember? This also happened in Irving. Do you still remember all three of us helping Dad out? And I understand why Dad did it because we could use the money. There was this big pile of debris around some storage facility where there was all these storage areas, storage lockers, and for some reason outside one of them was this humongous area where it was just debris, and the guy just wanted it cleaned up. He just wanted it gone, and he
Right.
paid that X amount for us to just. We spent all day over there, from in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon, and that's all we did.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
We piled all of that stuff in the back of his truck.
I remember doing several jobs like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then I still remember when that was done, there used to be a dairy. You know where the Jack in the Box is in Irving?
Yeah.
The old Jack in the Box.
On the corner of the same parking lot as Gibson's.
Yes. You
Yeah, I remember
that?
all that. Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, just down from that, going away from the Jack in the Box, was a Dairy Queen. There used to be a Dairy Queen down there. It hasn't been for a long time, but there used to be a Dairy Queen. I remember after we did this big job and we spent all day moving all this debris and everything, Dad and I still remember this, and I remember the look on Dad's face. I think he wished he could have done more for us or done something else. But I remember him saying, at least I can do this for you guys because you guys worked really hard today and I really appreciate this. And he bought us all some ice cream or whatever.
Yeah.
I still remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
It made all the hard work totally worth it.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally worth
Well,
it.
but I remember the look on his face. He kind of understood at that point. He wished he could have done something a little more tangible. But, at that point, you just, you do what you can do and you do what you know to do.
Yeah.
You
Look
can't
at
make
that. Yeah. Look at the picture, the last picture there with the big snowstorm and we're standing with Grandma.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Look at
That was
my,
on our property there on Rose Street.
right, but look at what I'm wearing. That was one of Dad's old work. It was a hoodie. It was just a zip up cotton jacket with a little hood on it.
Right.
But it had holes in it. The zipper was broken at the bottom. The pocket had a big hole where it got ripped away. I mean, we're wearing clothes like homeless people would wear.
Yep, we did. Mm-hmm.
I mean, this jacket, I remember wearing that because it's like we needed warm clothes in the wintertime, but we didn't have anything. And the jacket David's wearing, I don't remember, but that
There's an old military. That was one of Dad's old military jackets.
yeah, because he had a bomber jacket too, but that was
Yeah, I still have that. I still have that one too. But this was what they call a foul weather jacket.
Yeah.
It had several layers in it. It was
the thing is, at the time, we didn't really think anything about any of that.
we didn't know any better. We had nothing to compare it with.
Right. Yeah. What do you have to compare it to? That we didn't really.
We just thought that was normal.
Yeah.
Whatever. We just thought, well, whatever.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happened. You can kind of understand how people, even in really terrible environments, whether it's physical abuse or whatever, if that's all they know and that's what they grew up with and they haven't lived any where they have something to compare it to, why wouldn't they think it's normal? And so same thing with us. The way we were taught about money and stuff, it's like it's only later when you're kind of on your own that you start to kind of see things differently.
yeah.
And
Yeah, it's just amazing to me the years are when Dad stopped working for Texas Instruments and just went into the manual labor, laying bricks, and then general contracting and just general renovations, just jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. The years we spent roofing, just
right.
just from that point on, it was just hand to mouth. It was just
Right.
just going from paycheck to paycheck and just being broke all the time.
Well, see, that kind of goes back to my point before. We learned a good work ethic, but what was at the end of the time of your work ethic?
Yep.
Where is it going? Have you been able to translate it into something sustainable that is going to get you something back that's worth all of that effort? Instead of just having it go into the wind, so to speak. Well, got to do it again tomorrow because I don't know what's going to happen, because you never planned anything longer than that day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's only after we kind of got away from all that we start to kind of see the need for that, to start making plans for something longer than just right now.
Yep.
And it's just funny how the people in your life influence you that way. And then when you're around their other weird friends and people that think the same way, you start to just think maybe that's all there is. You don't know any different.
Well, that's what I meant. You don't know any better. You don't have somebody pulling you to the side and saying, "Hey, you could have a better life than this."
Hey,
Well-
that picture of all of us with Ben on the beach, is that Galveston? That has
That's
to be
Galveston. Yeah, that's when Ben was complaining about all the mosquitoes.
Right.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah.
He was saying that he was going to wake up and not have any blood left.
Yeah.
They were going to drain all the blood out of him.
Yeah.
He also said he was either going to die from all the blood being drained out, or he was going to slap himself to death. Remember?
Slap himself to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something been.
Remember, we couldn't sleep that night. He kept slapping himself, slapping mosquitoes all night
Right.
when nobody slept.
Now, is that the Galveston trip? I seem to remember, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a Galveston trip where we slept outside?
No, we had that little trailer.
Well, I know
We
we had
slept-
the trailer, but is I'm thinking maybe it wasn't Galveston, maybe it was something else.
I don't
We
remember. Yeah, I don't really have that many memories. I have a vague recollection of a scene like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang where the tide came up on us because
Yeah.
Dad, they weren't paying attention, and we woke up and the water was like crashing around our trailer and wheels and whatnot. But yeah, I don't have any recollection of that trip other than the photos.
Well, I got maybe just a few memories from it, but nothing. Nothing.
I just remember playing on the beach and running in and out of the surf. We'd stopped at a couple places in Houston on the way down and we ate out at some fast food place or what. Just real vague. But the whole point of the trip was to go to the beach in Galveston.
Ben
Just
made quite a few trips with us. Remember, he went with us to Lake Tawakoni also, and that's where we were like made ramps, and we just were jumping up into the air and riding our bikes into the water.
And BB guns. We all had our BB guns.
Yep.
Mom's got a famous picture where we were scrambling to scrounge BBs on this little platform. Folding camper. We'd spilled some BBs onto that.
Yeah, I still remember that. We took all of our bikes there to the lake, and we actually built the ramp, and we just went
Just jump in the water.
good, and then just went right into the water. I remember that. Yeah, somewhere there's pictures of all of that.
Yeah, I think Mom and Dad probably the best source for these pictures. Between the two of them, I know they have pictures of some of this stuff.
Well, according to Dad, it's probably going to mostly be Mom.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
So I'll have to get with her sometime on that. Yeah, I forgot he went with us so many different places. He was there with us.
Yeah, and that picture of you and David in the swimming pool, that was our big above ground pool right in the backyard there.
Right, yeah.
And that
I got another picture. I don't know if it's one of the ones I sent you guys. It's taken from inside the house with a silhouette of the cat in front and the pool's in the background.
Yeah, I have that picture somewhere else.
Okay.
You said that to me like earlier or last year or whatever, but I had that one somewhere.
That was the wall and the deck where we would stand up and we'd dump that bucket of snow on Dad when he was walking by.
Actually, no, it was actually just a really giant snowball we made. It was like a freaking 3-foot diameter snowball that we managed to make.
We used a 5-gallon bucket to form it.
To start it, yeah.
I'd like to see if we can find a picture of that tree house.
Well, it never really was. It was a tree platform.
Yeah, it was a platform, basically. We had the foundation, but we didn't build the rest of it.
We had big dreams, though. I think the Yellow Jackets almost killing me kind of took the...
Yeah, that kind of put a damper on the
That's
tree
why,
house.
that's why I was laughing when I said that, because anytime we talk about that platform up in that treehouse, that's the first thing I think
Of course, yeah.
It's Jeff getting a little container of gasoline, trying to get up underneath it, and then bring it up so that he can get that, and then he just about killed himself falling down.
Oh, I hit the ground running, man. I was like, oh. And then Mom trimming those hedges between Mrs. Holly's house there.
She got stung in the lip.
Yeah.
With Yellow Jacket. She got stung in the face and the lip, I think.
Yep.
We were always battling Yellow Jackets around there.
Man, those little bastards were everywhere.
Yeah, I hate those things.
Texas, what do you expect? That other picture in the snow, I think that's me in it, but you can barely make it out. There's not enough contrast. I need to kind of fix that. Um, the heavy snow. That's that same time period that we took the other one that we had just talked about. Um,
Yeah. All I've
we-
got is the one with the garage and Dad's truck in the picture.
right,
I don't see-
but I'm in there. If you look,
Oh, I see you now. Yeah, you got firewood and you're carrying some
Right.
firewood, I think.
yes, I'm carrying some firewood.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Now,
Yeah, that
does
was the
anybody-
same snowstorm.
We missed a lot of school that year because of those crazy storms. I remember
Yep.
that.
And if you
We
look at the
actually-
one with Grandma, that was a real heavy, wet snow. It stuck to everything. I remember it distinctly. It piled up 5 or 6 inches, even on little twigs on trees. It was just crazy, crazy wet
Didn't we
snow.
have to go to school on a Saturday to make up for
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Miss?
we did. Yeah, yep. I remember that because nobody wanted to be there, and nobody did anything.
Even the teachers didn't want to be there.
And they didn't. Teachers didn't care.
Yeah.
Their attitude was like, we're here just to make an appearance to satisfy the school board.
And then there was a couple of times we had ice storms, not snow, but
Yep.
just
Yeah,
freezing
just
rain.
ice. I think that's
Yep.
where David messed up his shoulder.
Yeah, that
where-
was a sleet. It was a whole bunch of sleet, and what happened was then it had freezing rain on top of that, which froze. So everything was like a big skating rink.
Mhm.
All the streets and sidewalks and everybody's yard was like a big, hard skating rink.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about down there is they tend to have a lot of ice. You can drive in the snow, unless you got studded tires or chains or something. You ain't driving in the ice.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Mhm.
So what other pictures do we have on there? I'm trying to remember what I sent you guys.
There's a picture
Oh.
of. I'm kind of curious. What is this photo in front of Grandma's house when you got the broken arm?
Yeah, that's
I'm
when I
trying to-
broke my arm when I was 10 years old.
Which time? The first or the second time?
What
First
is
time.
this? What is this white vehicle in the back?
I've been trying to figure that out. I don't know what that is. I've been trying
I
to
haven't
figure out.
that out either. I've been looking at that. I don't think they ever actually owned anything that looked like that.
No. It was somebody visiting. It was somebody visiting Grandma or Grandpa.
Yeah.
Because I remember that tree distinctly. I know this exact angle. Right behind me is the intersection, and farther you can look way behind me. There's a signpost.
Yeah.
That was in the parking lot of that little nightclub where Grandma came over there. It was kind
Yeah.
of a little arcade that had bands that would play there.
Missile Command.
That's in that parking lot with that little tiny arcade / nightclub that we were at one time when Grandma came looking for us.
Like a little
Yep.
convenience store.
Yeah,
It's
So
still
that's-
there.
I don't think so.
The convenience store, the gas station is still there.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes.
I don't remember that. I actually drove right past there just last year
Right.
when I was in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I just kind of did a little tour of Old Irving. I went up and down Rock Island. But that vehicle, I don't know what that is. It's just somebody that was visiting. I don't even know what it is.
You know what? It looks like a station wagon. The more I think
Kind
about
of does, yeah.
Well, when
Yeah,
I
very
broke my arm is when I was. You remember the people that lived across the street from us, and that kid had that bike with the big.
Yeah.
He had the big white banana seat.
Yep. But he had the handlebars lowered down where you couldn't.
Yeah, and they'd always hit the. And
Yeah.
I never understood why people do that to their bikes, but whatever. I can't remember his name though.
I can't remember either.
Where's the
But anyway-
picture? Where is the picture where we're all in the wagon?
That's in the front yard of the house in Irving. That's in the front yard of Rose Street. Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
Because
That to the right, that's the corner of the garage.
yeah, that's the corner of the garage on the right.
Wow.
Yeah, the century. You can see the
It's
century plants.
It's actually looking. This is when we first got that property, so nothing's grown up yet.
Right. So we're looking
You're
toward the street.
You're
It's
actually
looking
looking
toward
out
the street.
on
Yeah.
Rose Street. You can actually see the houses across the street.
Yeah.
Nothing's grown up yet.
Good God, because that by the time I started remembering stuff, it must have been 10 years later, and that was like a forest between
Right.
the road
Right.
and the house.
Yeah.
hmm
Well, I mean, think about how fast things grow in that environment.
Yeah, that utility pole you see in the background, that's right on the edge of the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sitting right next to the edge of Rose Street.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, and there's those giant yucca cactus
The
plants.
century plants is what those are, yeah.
Hmm. Man.
But I still remember when I broke my arm, I was actually trying to do a wheelie and the bike kind of went off to the side.
Yeah, of course, of
I
course.
stuck my hand out,
Hmm.
just snapped it right in two.
I remember all of that. I remember the trip to the hospital and everything.
I remember it didn't really hurt at first. I guess, I don't know, maybe my adrenaline or something, maybe not really.
Yeah, because you were very calm. You were very calmly holding your arm, walking toward the house like, hey, I think I broke my arm.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
So-
a big deal.
Look at the picture with the that just shows the I think that may be Rick, or is it Dad standing in front of the garage between the truck and the car in the snowstorm.
No, that's Rick.
Yeah, isn't that the one
We
we were
talked about
talking
that a minute ago.
That's the one we were talking about earlier.
He's holding some firewood.
Okay, so remember there was another whole fenced off section of the yard directly behind the garage there where that old swimming pool was. There was
Yeah,
another
that's behind. Yeah,
Right.
that was just outside the back end of the
That's,
garage.
that's where that mulberry tree was too.
Right.
Yeah, but what was the story? Because I don't have any recollections of that above ground pool. Was that there when we moved there?
No, they put it in there. It wasn't there very long. I don't
No,
know
it
why.
wasn't there very long at all.
Well,
They only
who
had
used it.
Mom and Dad used it. It was only there like maybe 3 or 4 years or whatever.
Because remember when we got Shaggy, he was chained to the tree back there behind.
Right.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
But the only memories I have of that is remembering that pool was just full of green sludge water.
Yeah, they didn't maintain it.
Yeah,
They didn't maintain it. They just kind of gave up on it.
I'm thinking maybe that pool didn't stick around, but maybe 2 or 3 years.
No, I'm
Did you
not
guys
sure.
ever use it?
I don't ever remember getting in it.
I got in it one. Dad had me. I got in it one time because Dad wanted to help. We were cleaning. It was actually fairly clean. I remember getting in it one time. He had me get in there to just take debris out of it. And there was some sticks or whatever, like laying in the bottom of it, things like that. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
I think maybe he might have gotten it really cheap and put it back there because
Right.
the one that we remember the most was a little bigger, and they bought that one brand new.
Right.
That was brand new when they bought that one. But the other one, I think Dad had got it used or it was really cheap. You know, that's the only reason I think they even had it back there. And they had
Yeah.
bamboo stuff surrounding it.
Yeah, they kind of had some plans for that whole area back there that never really
Right.
turned into anything.
But the garden, you know, the part that they used to plow, my dad used to plow, was surrounded that. It went around the outside of that pool area.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jeff remembers, but that's where Dad had his famous swearing incident where he pinched his finger. He's trying to hook up the gang discs, and he pinched it. He said GD real loud, and Jeff and I went running in 2 different directions.
Well, I think it's because you or I were on the tractor. We were actually.
You were on the tractor. You were trying to move. Because you were fascinated with learning how to drive the tractor.
Yeah.
Where I knew how to do it too, but I didn't really care. But you were actually just trying to
Right.
maneuver whatever. But you know, Dad got his finger pinched in there and just
Yeah.
swore and threw the race down. Jeff and I just took off in 2 different directions.
Yeah. I remember that Black Widow in the hole there, and he just poured gasoline in there and burned
Yeah.
exterminated the Black Widows with half a gallon of gas.
You remember him shooting the skunk with a shotgun in the front yard,
Boom. Yeah.
middle of the night or whatever? Yeah.
I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
That one picture of us in the tent,
Yeah.
that was taken. Do you remember that big tree that we built the platform on? We
Mhm.
didn't finish the tree house.
Right.
It was in front of that. It was in that area. There was actually a kind of a yard type area in front of that.
Mhm.
And that's where that was taken. When
Okay.
we first moved there, we used to love going out and just being in that tent and just staying out there for the night.
I actually remember those blue plaid blankets.
Yeah, I remember those too.
Huh.
I remember I remember those blankets whenever Uncle Frank would come to visit, he would wake us up. He would run upstairs and tear those blankets off of us and take off with them or whatever. Or he would like cover us up and start hitting us with it or whatever.
I
And then
remember
we would do the same to him.
I remember touching the canvas while it was raining because they tell you not.
You're not supposed to do that.
to
Yeah.
leaking. And then
Yep.
sure enough, it started leaking.
Hey, it does leak. Imagine that.
So you had to see for yourself, I guess.
Look at that. The date is September 1969.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I was 8 years old. In another 2 or 3 months, I would be 9.
Yep. I was 7. Yeah.
5 years old for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Such
crazy.
cute, innocent kids.
I still
Yeah,
remember-
yeah, whatever.
I still remember the chickens too.
Oh,
Going
yeah.
out, getting the fresh eggs.
I wish we had a picture. Which one of us was it that slid off the roof and got the shorts caught on the rivet?
That was me. That was me. And then I fell straight down into a brick pile, directly underneath me, and bashed my knee and my forehead.
Yeah, but hanging upside down on the.
Yeah, I was kind of helpless.
Oh,
I don't know how we didn't get much more severe injuries growing up there.
So,
good time.
what other pictures are there?
Oh, remember Grandpa throwing? I think it was Grandpa throwing the
Tootsie
Tootsie Roll
Rolls.
in the air and
Yeah.
bashed into the.
Yeah, run to a tractor, chasing them. Yeah, yeah, that was hilarious.
Good time.
Yeah. I can't remember what other pictures there were that I sent you guys.
Well,
Oh,
there's one with me.
there's one-
Cat. I don't know how long after that I set the living room on fire or the mom's bedroom on fire.
Yeah, I
that's,
remember that.
that's you and me with that cat we used to have,
Uh-huh. Frisky.
and that was before we added that addition.
Yeah.
So right now that's just kind of a big carport area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so right behind us is the door that goes inside the house, and you go into the kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how old that house actually was when that thing was actually built. It had the old knob and tube wiring in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to Dad, it was built. I think it was built in the 1930s. It was a greenhouse. The garage was a greenhouse. It was the whole property was a nursery. Like somebody had a business there that was a nursery.
Do you
And the
remember
actual
that?
house, I believe, was built in the 30s.
Do you remember that storage area that was kind of a shop or whatever right next to the chicken coop that had all of the pottery in it?
Yeah, the clay pots in there. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And the ones that we destroyed.
Yeah, the one that we just went in here and
Yeah, I
started
remember.
growing and breaking up. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can only keep stuff for so many years before we say, "Hey, what's?"
Well, why is it just sitting around? Yeah, exactly.
And that makes, it's pretty gratifying to
Yep.
destroy them and to made
If they didn't want us to break those things, they shouldn't have been laying around.
it made a pleasant crashing sound. And
Yes, I agree.
yeah. Can you imagine though the parents?
God.
Like, what the what? Who? What? Why?
Yeah. And then
We didn't have-
there's that picture of I think it was when we had the mumps or something, and they had that family reunion,
Mhm.
and we were stuck upstairs,
Yep.
and they were all out playing softball, baseball, whatever, and that's that one picture of that field that shows that whole area where we eventually limed it off and made the marks and made it into a football field. When was that goalpost built that we had at the one end?
Yeah.
When, like, what year?
Yeah. I mean,
That was proper. Well,
what was that even made out of? I'm having a
it
hard
was an old
time.
swing set. It was an old metal swing set.
Okay.
You know, like the old A-frame metal swing sets.
yeah.
The little thin steel tubing it's made out of.
But who
That's-
put it together? Who built it?
I did most of it. I think me and Ben Larson actually just kind of
Right.
piece it together out of some old swing set pieces.
Good.
I think Dad had found one of our jobs we did that was just either an old swing set that would just need to be thrown away. That I don't know who came up with the idea, but we just thought we could try to just build one out of that.
Well,
You know?
because we had like a Super Bowl one year.
Yeah.
It
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we figured we had to have a goal post. We could try field goals and extra
As I
points.
recall, the weather was pretty horrible during the Super Bowl too.
Yep, I think so. I
But
think I do remember some bad.
just like real football.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty awesome. We'd play pop, fly, catch, tackle the man with the ball. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of stuff going on out there in that yard.
And neighborhood kids. We had several
Yeah,
neighborhood kids that would come over.
Yeah. They were always wanting to use our place. I still remember that. Remember the kids down the street, the Phillips,
Yeah, I remember them. Sure.
and yeah.
Yeah.
And then for a while, right across the street from us, I cannot remember their names, but it had the two twin boys. But
So
anyway,
what's the one
what I
thing
wanted
you
to
want to
ask
talk
was,
about?
what's the earliest memory you have of us being on Rose Street? Because I got a couple. One of them was before we ever made a garden. Do you remember the grapevines that used
Yes.
to actually be there?
Yeah, sure. I
Next-
remember that.
Next to those, there was 3 apple trees in a row
Yep.
that were right down from the chicken coop
No, I remember that too.
going all the way to the alley.
Sure. I
And
remember that.
I remember being out there one day, just kind of exploring. Maybe it was after we had the tent set up or something, and so I got up in the morning. But I remember being out there, and I remember looking into the alley. I was probably 50 or 60 feet away from the alley. I was quite a ways away. I was just kind of in that field. And I remember seeing some kids. They were playing something, because some of the kids actually had these big branches on their shoulders, and they had their arms across like this. Like, they were pretending they were pirates or something. I don't know. But there was 3 or 4 of them there. And I remember they didn't see me, but they were just walking down the alley and just talking and laughing and cutting up or whatever. And I remember just thinking this was just this huge, humongous place. And I just thought it was so cool that we had all this space we could do whatever we wanted
Yeah.
with.
It was great.
And I just, that had to be what, maybe we moved there, 66, 67 or something, because
Well, I was 3.
Jeff in the wagon, he couldn't have been more than what, 3?
He was actually still wearing diapers when we first moved there. I was 3,
Right.
and Jeff was just barely 1. I remember because Mom had me grab him because he was in his diaper going up the stairs, and Mom didn't want him going up there.
Right.
Just temporarily, I don't remember what the deal was. It's not like he was in any danger, but
Because
she
we
didn't
had
want him crawling upstairs.
first lived at that house on Rendy Street.
Yeah, I remember that's why I broke my leg.
Right. Yeah. And then we moved to this one. So
Yeah.
that had to be what, 66?
65. 65, I think.
I would have only been 4 years old though at that point.
Right, I was 3. I had just recovered from my broken leg. I hadn't been out of my cast very long, I don't think. We moved in over there.
See, but Jeff would have been older than 1 though.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you know what? I think he was 2 and I was 4. Now that I think
Yeah, but
about it.
look at that other picture where all 3 of us are in front of
The
Dad
wagon?
in the car.
Yeah.
I mean,
And your underwear is about to fall off.
yeah, because it looks like I'm wearing Dad's underwear. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, I mean, I couldn't have been 2, 3 years old,
Yeah.
No, I was. Yeah, that's
That had to be pretty close to about the time we first moved there. Somewhere.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I had not been out of my cast. I was 3, and I don't think I'd been 3 very long when I broke my leg, right?
Right.
And I think I'd only been out of my cast maybe a couple months when we moved into the house. So I think I was 3, and Jeff wasn't. Jeff may not have even been quite 1 yet. He may have been 11 months old or something. I don't know.
And how come sitting on the wagon, you're only wearing 1 shoe?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Man, who the hell knows? I don't know.
I mean, look at that look on my face. It's like I'm sitting on your shoe and you're like, where the hell's my shoe?
Well, look at Rick. You can't see both of his feet. Maybe he's only got one shoe on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's true.
Man, when you're that little,
Hey, do you remember when they made the sandbox around that tree?
yeah, sure, I
had
remember
the
that. Yeah,
platform? Yeah, there's.
yeah, I remember that.
I remember when the big truck showed up and poured all that sand in there.
I remember him he had the big 1x12 planks that he, surrounded it with.
Yep.
I remember the big truck coming to dump sand in there.
And remember how nobody apparently even thought about the cats using it for a litter
Yeah,
box?
well,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
once we discovered that, it's like, well, that kind of ruins the whole sandbox idea.
that kind of ruined everything. Yeah.
It was a perfect sandbox, though. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't know what memories you guys had, but that's one of the earliest memories I have. And I also have this memory of us, of me. I don't know if you guys were, you had to have been with me though. I remember waking up in the morning because the sun was coming in the tent. And I remember waking up and just going out and going through that gate by the edge of the chicken coop that went into that back area where the garden eventually was.
Yeah. Sure, I remember that.
Do you remember all the little animals that we used to have, like the horned toads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were horny toads all over that property,
They were all over the place when we first moved there.
especially in when it was hot weather in the garden. You couldn't walk through the garden without seeing some
Remember
in
the
the
pear
dirt,
tree?
running around the dirt.
You just walk
Yeah, I
up to
remember
it,
that. Sure.
pears off.
I remember the pear tree. Remember
Yep.
the mulberry tree. Remember all the grapevines.
Yep.
The persimmon tree.
Remember
There was
when
a persimmon
Dad
tree.
threw the yo-yo out in the backyard, and we thought
Yeah.
he threw it way too far to ever be found, and then we found it.
We found it like a year later in the garden. Yeah. I remember that.
I still remember when we had the garden. I don't know if it was just because I wasn't very tall then, but it seemed like we actually had some corn for a while because I remember Mom
We
made
did several
cornbread.
times.
In the summertime. She made cornbread and beans and iced tea, and I remember going out there one morning and there were these huge grasshoppers all over the corn,
Right.
and it seemed like the corn was like 12 feet high to me, but it had to be because I was just,
Yeah, but we did have several crops of corn that were huge. It's really
Right.
tall. I remember that.
Mom's got, I remember she's got photos of us standing in the cornfield there.
She's got a picture of Dad where the corn is taller than Dad.
Yeah.
Out there one year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I'm going to
had
have to talk to her about getting some of these photos because I'm vaguely remembering them, but I know I don't have them. Because, see, when I talked to her about it a few days ago, there was a time when I scanned a bunch of them. I never took the photos, but I used her scanner, and then I just took those files after they were already scanned. I don't remember having those pictures because I just went through all the ones that I got from her. I didn't see any of those. So she still has to have them somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure she does.
I'm going to have to ask her because she's acting like she doesn't really know where they are, or maybe doesn't want to spend the time trying to go through everything she has. But it'd be nice to find them.
We had 2 or 3 beehives there, and remember, I was like the beekeeper there for a few years.
Grandpa came over there. Grandpa came
one,
over a few times to mess around with the beehives.
yeah, you were the one that was trying to learn how to do the bees. I remember that. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to basically retouch our roots to kind of connect everything as far as where we came from and why the PDR stuff seemed to be kind of a big break for us to sort of break out of some of the things that we grew up with as far as the way we thought things should be financially or whatever, and how the PDR thing, I think, was sort of a way to branch off of that. At least it was for me. It gave me an opportunity to kind of go into some other things and not necessarily keep that same mentality that we grew up with as far as thinking things have to be a certain way.
Well, for me, it's always been, and I've taught Austin this too. So he's been doing it for more than 20 years. But I have just an overwhelming sense of gratitude just for the cosmic forces that align to allow me to do this when I did it, because it's nothing more than luck. It's not
Right.
because I'm so smart. It's not because I'm so talented. It's not because I was thinking ahead. So all the people who make so much money, you know, in their PDR careers over the years, doing it for 30 years, I've made $1 million many times over in this business. But for the first 15, 20 years almost, I was just pissing it away. And if I would have had any kind of financial sense from the beginning, holy crap. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
Oh, yeah.
staggering to me
Yep.
how different my life would be right now.
Right.
Because so many guys in this profession, they act like they do what they do because they're so smart or they're so good or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're no different than millions
Right.
of other guys around the world that do this.
Yep.
You just happen to find
Yeah.
something good, and it's a craft, not
Yeah.
unlike any other trade that you might learn, to be a welder, to be a carpenter, to be a bricklayer, to the floor tile, a body shop guy. I do paint and body work. I sand. No, I'm just the painter. You're no different than any of that. You learn your craft, but in our business, we can make really, really good money in short bursts. And if you do it right and you are willing to work and sacrifice, sometimes you can just work year round and just make an incredible amount of money.
Yep.
But it has nothing to do with somebody being smart or like you're so much better a dent guy than somebody else. Oh, that's why you made the money you made.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's
I've met plenty of guys that were not.
incredibly lucky, you know, is the
I've
point.
met plenty of guys that were not that good that made really good money. You know, they weren't. I wouldn't want them to do my car. I'll put it that way. But they were just good enough. You know what I mean? They just knew where to be and how to do it, and you know they would grind away a lot. But they weren't that great. You know?
Yeah.
Well, like with most things, the time to be smart is when you actually acquire all that money. Because if you're not smart at that point, all that works for nothing.
And that's where I was for like 15, 20 years almost in my
Well, but you were just so happy. You were so thrilled that you weren't starving to death. You know, you didn't know you wanted to reward yourself. You wanted to pamper yourself. I mean, that's a very natural thing. I'm not saying it's wise financially. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But that's a very natural reaction. You suffered and suffered and suffered. And then now you're doing something where, hey, I don't have to suffer anymore. I can buy nice clothes. I can go on vacations.
Yeah.
I can take other people with me. I can, you know, but you know, after a while, you realize, hold on a minute, this is not a good long-term plan.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far you shouldn't criticize yourself. But that's a very natural, understandable reaction to go from one to the other. You know, it's like an addict when you first discover heroin. Now, that's a terrible long-term goal to have.
Yeah.
But the feeling you have before and after you can't even compare the two.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah, that's understandable, and you're not the first one to do that either, and you won't be the last.
Anytime there's a shift in your life that's major, especially money, there's going to be a learning curve to try to figure out everything.
Yeah.
It's not going to just happen overnight. Sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out crap.
Yeah, oh yeah, it never stops. The learning never stops.
It's a work in progress.
But just like we were talking about before, the difference in people's personalities, I taught Austin this about what I call the Walmart personality. It's like, because there's a certain segment of people, doesn't matter their background, but they are just content to work in a place like Walmart. They just want to go to work. They just want to do their job. They just want to get their paycheck, and that's all the ambition or goals that they ever have. And they base and engineer and plan their lives around whatever job they happen to have, rather than come up with a plan for your life and then get the appropriate job so that you can do what you want to do. It's just a completely opposite way of you know, some people are content with that. And for the longest time, that's kind of where we all were. We're just like, hey, what are we doing? Oh, we're digging ditches this summer. Hey, yeah, but we're making decent money. We can afford pizza and beer. What else is there, you know?
Yeah. Well, we just didn't know how to think ahead. You know, the more successful you are, you'll find the more successful a person is, the farther ahead they think. There's people who plan ahead years and years and decades constantly. They're constantly thinking. Like me, for example, for years when I make any money, it doesn't matter if it's $10 or 10,000. I pay future Dave. I put 10% away and I pay future Dave. I don't pay me now. I pay the guy that's going to need that later.
Yeah, that wasn't me. I didn't get that till like 15, 20 years after I was doing PDR, because I was like, I just didn't care. I wasn't.
Think about it, right. And once again, it's understandable because you go to being able to afford. In other words, you can easily afford your day-to-day stuff. And you're like, hey, this is great. You know, and you're, why should I starve? Why should I scrimp? I want nice clothes. I want, again, that's fine for very short periods of time. You just don't want, you don't want to be that way for years.
Feeling like a rich person whenever you can just pull up to a gas station and just fill it up.
Hey, we always joked about buying a new set of tires. only rich people do that. What kind of? I'm not Warren Buffett. I can't buy 4 new tires. Are you crazy?
Right.
Only super wealthy people do that.
Just go to the used tire place, and they always got used tires. Why the hell would you?
Yeah,
much less 4 new ones. Good God.
Right, and then you had the whole issue of combining the regular ply tires with
radio. You got radio tires with bias ply tires.
Right, and remember having to actually think about that stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I remember stopping at the gas station and like when you're going to tell the guy how much to put in there, I'm like digging through this car seats and the floor.
Yeah.
How much change can I find?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
Well, everybody's got to come from somewhere, I guess. And so, there we are.
I was just getting my Rick was the Green Hornet, the famous burnout. But the reason I did it, remember, is that was a brand new tire, but the other ones weren't. So obviously they had to match, so I had to burn off, 20,000 miles of rubber off of it. So then they would all match. That'd be silly to have one brand new. I mean, I couldn't drive around with a brand new tire and 3 old ones.
We could have an entire episode just on nothing but cars.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Grandma's relationship with the Green Hornet would take up.
Oh my God. We could do 100 hours on that easy.
Yeah. That's definitely got to be a segment.
But hey, there's a correct answer to this question. What was the best part of the whole burnout episode?
When the neighborhood kid opened the door.
Yes. Yeah. So you couldn't even see. It was such an unbelievably thick cloud of smoke. It was like a U-shaped parking lot of apartment buildings, 3 sides, like that. That whole bowl, that whole area was literally full of tire smoke. We didn't even see this kid. We knew the neighbor kid. I couldn't see him, but I could hear his voice. I heard, what the hell? He was trying to say, what the hell is going on? But he couldn't. He was choking on the tire smoke. That was the best part. That made it worth it right there.
That Opel Manta I had, you guys weren't there, but when Curtis and I were coming home from a meeting and the Opel Manta was on its last leg, and I must have been doing 70 miles an hour over that railroad track.
Oh, the railroad hump, yeah. I remember hearing this. I wonder how many parts came off when you did that.
It lit up the neighborhood, just the sparks.
Yeah.
Landed, but just to Curtis, because I started speeding up way before the hump, and he's like,
"We scared the hell out of him."
What are you doing? And and I never let up, and we get closer. Goes, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Was your goal to try to break it in half? Was that what you were trying to do?
There at the time, I'm like, yeah, it's probably gonna crash.
You're hoping the frame would break and the engine would fall out or something. God.
And then I ended up abandoning it there at the apartment complex.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember you abandoning it. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stories about our cars.
Yeah, we should definitely do a segment on vehicles for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, we can go ahead and close this up. And
All right.
I will see you guys later, I guess.
All righty. Thanks for visiting.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys take care. I'm going
Have
to
a good
depart.
All right. See you, bro.
Thanks for hanging out for another episode. Next time, the guys talk about entering the world of driving and cars and all the other things that come with that. So remember to come back and make some time to hang out again.